The reality is we have so many folks that either choose not to be a homeowner or maybe can't be for various reasons. And so the properties I know that we all develop are of such high quality that people that live there for the rest of their lives have the opportunity to live in dignity, and they have the opportunity to be proud of where they live, and that is reflected in how then they go out into the world. And so this conference has the title of Partnership in it, and we don't do this alone. We all do this in partnership. Each and every one of you are making dramatic changes in people's lives every day, and just thank you for the good work and keep it up. Thank you.
I'd like to thank the three of you for coming up and sharing your stories. And now we are going to have Stacy Collette come up and do a little bit more motivation for us. Those are gifts for y'all.
You're awfully quiet out there. Are you all tired? Really? Did you all enjoy this fabulous city, Butte, America? I have a very tough time coming to this town, primarily because I have an Instagram feed, Facebook feed. If anybody posts me or tags me in something in Butte, I have 5 messages in my text waiting saying, "Why aren't you here for dinner?" Which is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful problem to have. I want to thank each one of you. I'm so inspired by Katie and by Earl. And both of you talking about Silverbow Homes. One of my fondest memories growing up in Butte is going to my cousin Lee's house, which was at Silverbow Homes. I thought it was the best place. Absolutely the best place. She had a place right on the end, and my 2 cousins, second cousins, understand we have a very large family. My second cousins, we could go right outside the front door and we could play in the courtyard. There was not really a fence. There was a carragana bush right out front, right on that street. And we could play, and there were always kids. Every single day. You could hear the screen doors closing behind you because they saw somebody standing outside. The work that we do is so holistically inspiring. It's really, really difficult to try to come up here and tell you something motivational, because I know that every single day you all wake up, most likely right before your alarm, and you know you have something good to do to move that ball forward. And in working with all of you, I have the privilege and the honor to actually watch you contribute and bring above 100% to every situation. I watch as many of us face situations where people are in crisis. We listened to a few stories earlier this week. We've talked about situations where there is no solution. There's chaos. People are in crisis. People have no good answer. There's fear, there's doubt, there are tears, and there's change. And every single day, you all get up and you go back to your desk and you take it one step at a time. So I want you to take a minute and I want you to write down one thing, and that is, how do you stay above the chaos? What is it that's inspiring you? Write it down. We're going to come back. I'm going to ask you. What is it that you do that keeps you motivated, that keeps you moving forward? Think about it. I'm going to tell you a little bit of a story. So in 1979, my dad decided that he was going to pursue his dream. He was working here in Butte as a UPS truck driver. He was fabulous. He had the brown outfit. He'd only been bitten by one German Shepherd, and he has this really gnarly scar on the back of his ankle, the back of his calf. I remember that day when he came home with the big dog bite. And he decided that he was going to become a placer gold miner with my grandfather. We were going to move to northern Idaho, a place we had only visited for the summers. Camp, we called it. Me and my younger brother, Matt, and yes, it's a small planet, you'll all tell him this story, I can't wait. Me and my brother, Matt, had to pack up all of our stuff. We could take 3 toys and our summer clothes and a sweatshirt. The rest of our stuff had to stay in the basement of our aunt and uncle's house up on the hill on Mercury. We loaded up our 1957 Ford. We had a camper that was 17 feet long. Oh my gosh, totally loaded with food. And we had our dog, Molly, who rode in the back seat with us with all of our stuff. And we drove the 9 hours very slowly to camp, which is just outside of Pierce, Idaho, a town of about 200 people. We didn't live in Pierce. We lived in the wilderness between Pierce and Kamiah, in the hinterlands of northern Idaho. We set up the trailer, and my dad began to mine. Mom thought it was a fabulous, fabulous summer. It was great while it lasted, until it started to snow, and school was around the corner. Mom thought Dad's dream would maybe only last 3 months. But instead, she would get us up at 4 o'clock in the morning, get us dressed, drive us 30 miles down a windy, narrow, gravel grade, take us to school to Orofino, Idaho, where we got to be, yes, the mascots, the crazies, I kid you not, maniacs, there we go, Orofino maniacs, absolutely. And then she would wait around and pick us back up at 3 o'clock and drive us all the way back to camp, and we'd start the day again. Now, 4 o'clock in the morning is pretty darn early for anyone who's 10 or 7, or as my mom was in her early 30s. And to do this day after day, we knew things were getting a little bit tight, a little bit tense. There were less strips of bacon. The oatmeal was stretching for 2 days, sometimes 3. We only had a dozen eggs for 2 weeks, and we were running shy of cash. And none of the gold that was buried in that mine was producing any kind of opportunity or any kind of brick and mortar house. And my mom was getting antsy. So one day she dropped us off at school and she said, "I will be here to pick you up before dark. Stay at the school." Which was a little bit surprising. But we knew Mom would be there. She always was. So we waited. School got out. 3:30 on my Holly Hobby watch. 4 o'clock. 5 o'clock. And the sun hit the mountains. And Mom came dusting in on a gravel road. She looked at us without any makeup on her face, which is new. If you've met my mom, she is lipstick on every day. She will not leave the house without lipstick, guaranteed. Just a few weeks ago, my brothers took her up to do a little surgery. She had to put on lipstick before the surgery center. This is how it works. She had no makeup on her face that morning, that evening. We got in, and I could tell from the steely look in her brown eyes, she had made a decision. She looked at us and said, "Tonight, I will make dinner. You will pack your stuff. And tomorrow will be your last day as a maniac." We had no idea what her deal was, but we knew there were no questions to be asked. So we went home to the trailer, packed up our stuff as we were told, went to bed, got up at 4, threw our stuff in the bag and in the back of the truck, and took off to school. We said our goodbyes to our maniac friends, only to know that at small town Idaho we would see them again. And at 3 o'clock, she picked us up and took us to our brand new pink house in Grangeville, Idaho. My mom had spent that prior day finding a place. She knew we weren't going to find gold in the bottom of those mountains just yet, and she needed to come up with a solution. So she spent that day where we were learning ABCs, 1, 2, 3s, and long division, which I still get frustrated over, finding a place to work, and finding anyone that would rent a house to her. And much to her delight, that house was pink, one of her favorite colors, and there was a park right across the street. And she could rent that house for $190 a month and make $4.25 an hour to take care of the 4 of us. So we moved. We put all of our groceries in the cabinets. They were very big cabinets, it seemed like, because we had 1 can of chicken soup, just in case somebody got sick, a can of beans, some lentils, and of course, a half container of oatmeal. And all of our stuff fit in our rooms, and we got to sleep on the floor like it was camping, and it was absolutely fabulous, and we started our new school. Well, the day that we moved in, and the first day at Grangeville High School, or Grangeville Elementary School, was the Thursday before Thanksgiving. And my teacher, Mr. Hogeboom, wanted to talk about how it was important that we give and that we give thanks. And he had identified that we had this fabulous opportunity to help a new family in town, that people had moved in and that they were great and that they had 2 kids and they were absolutely the coolest family, but they didn't really have anything. They didn't have any mattresses, they had a dog, and that if any of our families could help this new family, it would be fabulous to contribute. And he encouraged all of us to contribute. So I immediately grabbed Matt's hand and we ran home the 7 blocks just back to our pink house. And I said, Matt, there's a new family in town just like us. Oh my God, I'm so excited. There's gonna be new kids and we're new kids. We're probably gonna have a lot in common. They're gonna know all about Butte, I bet. I bet they're gonna know all about Montana. And Matt's like, I don't know, new kids? I'm over this new kids. I'm really shy. I don't know, I'm barely getting to know these other kids. I'm like, come on, Matt. These are new kids, we're new kids. We have lots of fun stories. And so, then the question came, what could we give in this basket? Well, truth be told, we had 1 can of chicken noodle soup. It had been well worn. It had made it from Butte to the camp, now to Grangeville, and it's sitting in the cupboard and it had a torn label. It was beautiful. It was that time when they had the little kid on the label. Do you remember those cans of chicken noodle soup in the late 70s? I was super excited. I'm like, Matt, let's give him the soup. He's like, no, that's for me. I love that soup. What if I get sick? Matt. And we argued time and time again. I'm like, Matt, we'll get new soup. It'll be fine. These are new kids and they don't have any food and we need to help them. Maybe they don't have their own can of chicken noodle soup and we can share it. I'll get you a new can of chicken soup. No. Tears, jeers. Mom came home. It was chaos. She was very upset. I'm like, look, they're new kids. Tomorrow's the day. We have to give them something. Can we give them the can of chicken noodle soup? And finally, with persistence, we won. And I took that can of chicken noodle soup and I put it in my backpack and I took it to the classroom for Mr. Hogeboom's room and I put it up next to the basket and I was giddy excited that we could give something to these new kids. I just couldn't wait. I was so excited. Now, I was less excited when I got back to pick up Matt at 3 to hold his hand and walk us back to our little pink house to wait for Mom at the end of the day, because Matt was very upset because he needed that chicken noodle soup. Like, I'll make you oatmeal. It'll be good. And he was very upset. All weekend long, no chicken noodle soup. It didn't matter. We made chicken bouillon. It didn't matter. It wasn't that can of chicken noodle soup. So we proceed through the week, and we get out of school on Tuesday, And Wednesday, we're at home alone, and Mom is at work, and Dad is at the mining camp. And all day long, we are free to play. It's Thanksgiving. We hadn't seen a turkey. Mom didn't have one. She hadn't gotten paid yet. We didn't know if Grandma and Grandpa were going to come over or if Grandma was going to make her famous pumpkin pie. We lived 9 hours away. We didn't know what the holidays were going to hold. So that evening, as we were sitting at the dinner table, my brother Matt asks, so Mom, what are we doing for Thanksgiving? And she said, well, I think we're going to be creative. We have a can of beans, and it's going to be fine. And Matt was tortured, and I was afraid. And I thought, what? What do you mean? There's no turkey? We're not going to have any relatives? What's happening? And just then, seriously, just then, at 5:45, there was a knock at the door. And we ran to the front door,